Welcome to the Fight Night Daily podcast. They're calling this The Last Dance, and that's not me, Gareth, Davies and Spencer Oliver. It's The Last Dance, the 49th fight, the last dance in the UK for Mr. Derek Chisora, who's behind us at the moment doing some scrums. His opponent is Otto Wallin. Let's focus, Spence. We're up here in Manchester. It's a Saturday night event. It's live on talkSPORT, by the way. We've got the whole team here. Let's talk about the career of Derek Chisora. We've both known him a long time, but almost boy to man we've known him. He's 42 in December. Let's just talk about the landscape of his career.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've known Derek Chisora since he was 17 years of age, virtually when he come over to this country.
From Zimbabwe.
From Zimbabwe, yeah. I mean, you know, he's
went to public school. He played rugby, private school educated. People don't know this about him, do they?
No, they don't know. But yeah, he's he's a big character, huge character. He's always been that character. Boxer, Finchley ABC, and you know the story. Started boxing late, actually, 19 years of age. He went on to win the ABA titles against all the odds, by the way. No one expected him to beat. They beat Tom Dallas in those finals way back when. Surprised not just me, but everyone there as well.
2005, 2006,
yeah,
was it?
I think it was 2007, I believe.
It was 7.
And I think Derek's always been one of those guys that feeds off the being the underdog, being with his back against the wall, and that's pretty much how his career's gone with Derek Chisora. He's always been one of those guys that's, you know, been there, seen it, done it. You know, he will fight anyone, anywhere, and I think that's why the British public, he's now become a national sweetheart, really, in many ways, because, you know, he puts bums on seats. People know what they're going to get. It is what it says on the tin with Derek Chisora. He talks about war, and you will get war. You know, win or lose, that guy puts it on the plate. And so that's why I think he's getting such a great reception right now.
That's what he is now. Let's go back. When he was violent and volatile, big and belligerent, when he didn't have all that love all those years ago, if I take you back to losing to Tyson Fury in his 15th fight, then having the war with Vitaly Klitschko in Munich, then fighting at the press conference, being sanctioned by the Boxing Board of Control for kissing opponents or annoying them or being a disruptor in many ways. That was a different character to the one we see now. But like you say, through that period of 3 fights with Fury, 2 fights with Parker, 2 fights with Dillian Whyte, fight with Usyk, all in the last 10 years, he's really laid himself down and got better in his 30s. He's a throwback. He's a Joe Frazier type fighter in my view.
Listen, he's a genius at what he does, because Derek knows exactly the game to play, right? He gets people talking, whether that's...
He does now.
So whether that's slapping Vitaly Klitschko, spitting water in Vladimir Klitschko's face, you know, the riots that he had with David Hay at the press conference, all of that stuff. He knows what he's doing, Derek.
He's finessed it now, though.
Because he's older and he's matured, and he's now gained that respect. Where he was trying to always get the respect, he now knows that he's gained it, and he's
got
done
it
that over the years in the sport of boxing. And I think that, listen, we're going to see a lot of emotions on Saturday night, that is for sure. It's going to be a very emotional time for him, because it will be the last time he boxes in the UK on his 49th fight. We do get the 50th one, and we'll move on to that in a minute, but this will be the last time we see Chisora on British shores. And I know how emotional it is, because I know how difficult it's going to be for him to let go of that.
Well, let's talk about that 50th fight for a minute, because in my view, if he beats Otto Wallin on Saturday night, I think he should push for a Francis Ngannou fight in Africa. That's the fight for me that really sells. He and Dillian Whyte in Africa doesn't sell for me. I think Francis Ngannou does in Cameroon.
Listen, and that's
what do you think?
That's an absolute possibility, because I think that the way this will go is, this is an eliminator. You know, Martin Piccoli's boxing a jugbar in May out in America.
IBF eliminator.
IBF final eliminator.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got the IBF title going on with Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker. We don't know what's going on with there. So this is where I see it. This is where I see it landing. Derek Chisora's 50th fight in Africa, if he comes through this one, in an IBF interim world title fight. And you're right, it could be Francis Ngannou. I think the names in the hat will be Ngannou. It'll be Deontay Wilder. I think anyone with African descent.
I like the Wilder fight as well.
Absolutely. Anyone with African descent, that's where we can see Chisora landing with. It could even be Martin Bakole. Who knows?
It's a tough battle for him right now,
but
Bakole.
You know, Derek Chisora, he will take the fight. And if it's the right fight, he would dare to be great. And I know that he's 50, but he would love in Africa. And for a form of a world title, that's what it's all about.
I've got Bakole at 6 or 7 in the world at the moment. If he beats Afir Jagba in May, he deserves to be sitting there ready for a world title shot. Listen, one of the other things about Derek, his durability, his obstinacy, his obduracy, his chin.
I don't know any of them words meant, by the way.
Well, he's irrepressible in a ring, and he's got better and better and better with age. I know is it 9 knockouts in 13 losses, something like that, against him. He has had an incredible career. It might be 5 out of the 13 actually knockouts, but there was a time, I think David Haye was the first to knock him out in 2012. Look at all these events he's been involved in. He's shown a great resilience. The older he's got, he would not have been able to do it without an incredible physicality and an incredible chin.
Absolutely, that's what. Listen, it all comes from here with Derek Chisora.
Yeah.
The mindset. You see round 1, and he comes out, and he looks like he's punching in slow motion. You think, wow, Derek Chisora, the best days are behind him. You get to round 5, 6, 7, 8, and the guy's coming on, and all of a sudden, he's making this huge comeback, and you go, whoa, Derek's getting into the fight, and we've seen that in recent times against Kubrat Pulev. You saw that fight there. It was a real back and forth. And the fight actually with Derek Chisora in his career, when he lost to Joseph Parker, I texted him the next morning. We're very close, me and Derek anyway. Go back a long,
lost 2 in a
way.
row, didn't he?
Yeah, but he lost to Parker and he put up an unbelievable performance, heroic performance. I texted him the next day and went, mate, you've been a brilliant servant for boxing. How many years ago?
And it's time.
Now.
Yeah.
And it's time. Please,
5
mate,
years ago.
Please hang up your gloves. And then he rang me off the back of it. And if we get him, we'll talk about this. He rang me and says to me, was you entertained? I went, loved it, mate. He said, did I put on a good performance? I went, brilliant. He said, did I look finished? I went, listen, it was a heroic performance. He went, you answered your own question. That means I got more in it. I couldn't argue with that.
Yeah, you can't.
That's where we're at.
You can't argue with that. And obviously, today as well at the press conference, if you look back at the Queensberry press conference today, he singled us out for a bit of abuse, and in a good way, and knows how to use the media, knows who his allies and colleagues are in the media. He's become a past master of using, like you say, that art of promotion. What do you think about my question to Frank Warren that Derek Chisora deserves a place in the International Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. Listen, you've only got to look down the list with Derek Chisora and the fighters that he's boxed. He's boxed the who's who of this modern era. You look at Alexander Usyk.
Did you swear just then?
I nearly did, yeah. I nearly come out. I do apologise, people. It nearly come out. We can beat that one. Don't
It's
worry.
passion.
Yeah,
It's passion.
Yeah, no, but you look at the performances. Alexander Usyk, yeah. When you look through Usyk's career and the way that he's sort of like beat every single heavyweight of this modern era, and the way that he's beat them very comfortably. Chisora gave him problems back then. I know he was just coming up from cruiserweight into the heavyweight division, so he was.
You can see Usyk running around the ring away from him.
He's having his moments. What I'm saying is, he's one of those guys against Parker. He, give him a fight. Vitaly Klitschko back in 2012. You saw him. He had his moments in that fight.
He did.
Vitaly
I was there. He did.
He was dominating.
Yeah.
Around that time, no one was pushing him. Chisora give him his best fight. What I'm saying is, win or lose. And in those big fights, majority of the times he's lost, he's always put up a good performance.
Here's the thing. Who are the heavyweights that they'll remember in Britain from this era? Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Derek Chisora and Dillian White. They're the heavyweights that people remember that are now... Look, he's 42 in December, but he belongs in this modern era of British and world heavyweights with aplomb.
Absolutely. And I want to give you one here. It's quite an interesting one. Out of the names that you've just mentioned and who will be remembered of this modern era, who do you think will be most loved from this modern era?
Well, I think Fury, Joshua, and Derek Chisora,
absolutely,
and maybe Dillian White as well. I think the four of them.
What I'm saying is that
I mean, I can't do that poll, but I think all of them will remain very popular.
Absolutely, I think what I'm saying.
But he belongs with those big names.
What I'm talking about with Derek Chisora is, he's one of those guys that you just sort of like. you gravitate towards. He's one of the, when you go through the layers of it, what you guys see about this character, this fight character of Derek Chisora, go beneath the layers, and actually you've got a really decent human being there.
Oh no, there's a great human being there. There's a volatility about him, like he says. You know, be careful when I'm in my bad moods. It would be remiss of me not to say that this should be the end now, the last couple of fights, because we don't want to see Derek in his 50s and in his 60s having had too many fights. So it really is the last dance.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, this is the last one in the UK. We see him fighting. He's 50. If he's farewell, if he comes through this one against Otto Wallin, we get an IBF interim world title. This is my belief, out in Africa.
Or in Riyadh. Or in Riyadh.
Or in Riyadh. But Turkey al-Sheikh, the reason I say Africa is because Turkey has made it public that he wants to take a fight to Africa. You know, he wants to recreate history.
But I think that's Joshua or Bakole or Ngannou and Bakole.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about him topping the bill, but...
Oh, on the bill.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Maybe. I'm not talking him necessarily topping it, because there's some big names in that, in the division right now, but I can see that happening, is what I'm saying. That is a reality.
What I thought Derek was really smart at today was picking on us, because he knew he wasn't going to get any kickback from Otto Wallin, who's a very calm character, who's only very good. Just a quick word on Otto Wallin. The interview with Otto is there on the YouTube channel as well, by the way. Spencer and myself sat down with him. Otto's only lost, very quick one on this, Otto Wallin has only lost to Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury.
Yep.
Catastrophically to Anthony Joshua last year in a brilliant performance. And obviously, he cut Tyson Fury's eye to ribbons in Las Vegas and could have won that fight. On a different day against a different fighter, it might have been stopped. Wallin brings problems. A big, tall, tricky, awkward southpaw who believes in himself.
Absolutely. Listen, he's not come here to make them numbers. He's come here to win. He's come here to get that IBF number 2 slot. He knows it puts him right up there in the mix. Otto Wallin, by the way, is a beautiful guy. And by the way, I've seen him and Derek Chisora. I trained Otto Wallin for a day on the pads and doing whatnot. Him and Derek Chisora going at it head to head in the ring, sparring. You don't take anything away from sparring because it is sparring. But what I'm saying is, what I saw was very entertaining, and I think we get a little bit of that on Saturday night. Otto Wallin's a decent guy as well. He is. And he's come to win.
I agree with you. Now, just to put a little cap on this, the nonsense that you got out of Ben Shalom and Martin Bakole on Saturday night, I need to clarify this with you. I spoke to Joshua's team on Monday morning, utter claptrap that they've been in talks to have a fight in Africa. Okay. Discuss.
Shall I elaborate on this a little
Yeah, well,
more?
that's exactly what I want you to do.
Absolutely. So I spoke to Martin Bakole. Obviously, it rings. I interviewed him.
Live on air, watched it.
Live on air. Said to him, where do we get your fight? Are you fighting? Is it Africa? Yes. Is it Anthony Joshua? That's the fight I want. Brilliant. All right, Martin, brilliant. So the fight could happen in Africa next for Martin Bakole. Go over, up to Ben Shalom. Ben, Martin's just said the fight could possibly be happening against Anthony Joshua and Ben Shalom, not Spencer Oliver, when the fight's happening. Africa.
Signed,
next.
sealed and delivered
Signed,
is what I said.
Delivered. And so what I'm saying is, it created a lot of interest. Martin Bakole deserves that opportunity anyway.
They should throw it out there.
It's created a lot of activity, people looking at that. It went viral.
And a lot of denial as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe Bakole, by the way, if he comes through against the Jogger in May, we do see him out there in Africa.
I think he wins that.
Whether he gets a world title shot or not is a different matter. We've got Dubois and Parker going at it. He's earning the right to box the winner of that, but we don't know what Alexander is going on. Loads of things happening right now, but Bakole will get his opportunity. And we'll see.
Yeah, Ben Shalom today, I did have a quick chat to him, and he said, no, it was only banter. But I do think they did the right thing by throwing it out there.
Absolutely.
By trying to talk it into existence.
Absolutely. And by the way, Eddie Hearn, when he done that interview and said, no, we've never had any conversations about Bakole versus Anthony Joshua out in Congo, out in Africa, he said, but it is a conversation we could have. So he didn't rule it out. He said it's nonsense that the conversation's ever happened, but never ruled it out.
Well, we're up here all week. We're here, obviously. We've been at the press conference today. Watch out for interviews on our YouTube channel. We're here at the weigh-ins tomorrow. We're live on Saturday night. Myself, Spencer, John Rawling and Adam Catterall for a fight night special live from the Co-op Arena. The last thing before we close for now, Derek Chisora, here's the mark of it all, really. Derek Chisora, as he reminds us all, lives in Hampstead Garden suburb, by the way, in North London, which is one of the, excuse me for spitting, I'm so excited about this fight, which one of the most expensive areas in the whole of London. That's where he lives now. He's gone from the streets to the suites. He's a brilliant, adept personality and fighter. He's managing to do his last dance in Manchester, not even in his hometown. What does that say? What does that say?
Like I said before, he's a national treasure. Derek Chisora, people love him because they know what they're going to get. This geezer brings it, and he brings the heat in the ring, and we're going to get that on Saturday night. Entertainment, that's what we're all about.
I can't forget the tables being thrown here 11 years ago, and the ding-dong that he had with Dillian Whyte at the, what was it, MEN Arena or whatever we call it Manchester Arena.
Yeah.
I thought he won that fight that night.
Insane fight.
That I can remember them ducking and bobbing and both completely almost out.
How's it going?
I'm not allowed to move too. I've been told that I dance too much on these podcasts.
No, it goes
so I'm staying. Yeah, okay, there you go. What? No, but that is how they were moving at the end. No, they weren't. They were doing this. Go back and watch it. I'm not wrong. It was an incredible night. I watched it. We were broadcasting on it that night. I thought Derek Chisora won. I think it was the second fight he was having with Dillian. I can't remember whether it was the first or second.
The first fight was the close one. The second one, Derek got knocked out in the 11th round. The first fight
it was here. It was here.
You could say Derek Chisora won.
That was tables, chairs and microphones day, wasn't it?
Fight.
And they had a big audience in here. They had to rent a crowd in. They all went wild. For me, I think, as you say, the tribute, the true tribute to Derek is that he's able to do this in Manchester, and it's not even his hometown. Yeah. Stay with us all week. We'll have lots of fun with you, this fella and me. It's the Fight Night Daily podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.